Hello, my friends. Welcome to Zoom In. My name is Craig Tornquist, and I am delighted this week to be reconnecting with one of my favorite human beings on this planet. He is the most talented piano player I know, and is also the person that would be the last one on earth to tell you that. He is humble, and he is a delight, and his name is Jeff Bowen, and he's right over there. Say hello, Jeff.
Hello, Jeff.
Jeff, Jeff and I go back 30 plus years now. We're over 30 years to Indiana State University. And do you remember the first time we met?
I actually don't the exact first time, but I remember you approached me about playing piano for you when you were coming up to Indianapolis during the week. And we got through a couple of songs, and I was like, okay, now this is really fun. This is
Well, and you have a talent. You have many talents, but one of them is you make every person you play for sound better. You have a unique gift in enhancing whoever it is, and I was absolutely blessed by you, and I am a very limited vocalist, but when you call it comedy, people grade you on the curve. You were outstanding at listening to what I wanted and helping me get it in my comfort zone. And then we just had a blast together.
Oh, yeah.
And traveled for, I don't know, we were on the road for a few years at Indiana State. And we'll talk a little bit later on about opening for Jay Leno. But one of the benefits, the few benefits of this pandemic has been watching you live 2 nights a week on Facebook Live. When did you decide that this was something you wanted to try?
So to keep the story as short as possible, and Craig knows me very well, that's a hard task for me. I have been going to some independent musician conferences over the last several years, and with that, you get a lot of links to people giving webinars and things about, how to really make this work as an indie musician. And they all were talking about people who were doing live broadcasts. And right after this started, I literally lost everything. In fact, I just lost another contract for the next show at the Children's Museum because they're closed to me. So, it's just so. And it wasn't about really making money. It was more about how do I keep the craft going, and how can I at least maybe share some of the fun that I was having at the places where I play in indie. How can I do that, obviously, with a larger audience? And it was amazing how fast it took off. I got in about a week before the rest of the entire world was doing this. And but have had marvelous people and great responses, very warm people. So
how is it different than playing in a room full of people who are with you? You've been there many times. You know what it's like to have an audience with you, and you feed off of that energy. You're in a room now all by yourself, where Patrick is there, who is incredibly supportive, but it's different than being in a room full of 50, 100, 500 people that are cheering you on. How have you kept your energy up through the hour or 2 hours that you're playing?
I guess the best way to say it, you have to picture in your head those people sitting in the same position you are watching. So if I were watching someone, what would I want them to be doing to keep me captivated and chuckling or singing along, or maybe, having a little emotion? So I just kind of have to envision that. And you almost have to picture all those people. And it's funny, like in their pajamas eating popcorn or Doritos, and they're like trying to sing along and the crumbs are coming out, because you don't get that at a live restaurant. So
no, you do paint a pretty picture.
But what I guess but the serious part of that is you just have to picture in your head, one, that are you doing this? Are you doing, is this helping? Is this working? And it has nothing to do with me. And I've had some really rough performances, and I forget my words a lot, but that's not what it's about either. Is everyone having fun at the other end? And do they sign off at the end of this and go, wow, that really kind of lifted the spirits a little bit.
Yeah, and you gave them a break. I believe that you are a familiar face to many people, and your voice and your piano, it reminds them that we're okay. We're all right. We're going to be all right, because this is something that they've enjoyed in the past. And in the middle of this funk, they are able to enjoy it again. And I just think you've been a tremendous blessing to a whole bunch of people, our family included. If you've not met Jeff Bowen in person, everyone loves him. When you are hanging out with him before a show and after a show, he is the easiest person to be around. And I trace that genetically to your mother, who has been watching every concert. She remains your biggest fan. And your mother, you don't know this, or maybe you do know this, but I've been calling her throughout the pandemic, and we've been talking just because I think she's delightful, and she has interesting insight. She's got a wonderful sense of humor. What has this meant to her and other people who are living by themselves currently through these more than a month of isolation?
She has said to me, how this has been a real challenge. And my mom and I we call each other pot and kettle because we're always entertained. We're always doing something, but we're also very social. And she says it's been a struggle and is very admitting of that. But every time I've spoken with her, she's always had a good attitude, kept her spirits up. She has also shared with me, though, that, people have sent her comments saying, wow, like the people from her church and others that she worked with years ago live in other parts of the country. And she said everyone has been so incredibly supportive and saying, wow, I never got a chance to see him perform anywhere. And now I get to, I have a chance to see him twice a week if I want. And they say about the fact that it is uplifting. And it's funny. It happens here too. We get done, and I mean, it's sometimes I'm working all day. I've got a lot to do, and I keep myself busy. Patrick works a lot. He sells IT equipment. So now that people are working from home, there's been a huge demand to get product to those people. So we get to this point. Sometimes it's 15 minutes before, and we're rushing around trying to get things set up. And then I get to the end of it, and both of us are laughing and having we feel good at the end of it ourselves. And that is instead of hearing applause or people come up afterwards, I get a chance to read comments, and he reads them to me either live on the broadcast or at the end of it and say, hey, you didn't see what so-and-so said, and it was really cool. And that means more actually than an applause in a room, because sometimes there's applause and people all walk away. This is an insight to how they're really feeling, and it's live and it's true, So.
Well, and they're heartfelt. I mean, people wouldn't take the time to do that and they wouldn't tune in. I mean, they don't have to tune in. They're doing it because they want to, and they've made a point of it to find you.
And the space is getting very crowded online now because a lot of people are doing this. I found I'm very blessed to see the same people showing up every Tuesday, every Thursday. Mom is, as you said, I don't want to call her a fan. She's my mom. And she tips too. I keep telling her, you don't have to do it. Remember college? Do you remember?
It's either that or you move home with her, and they know it. Please,
it's like, do you remember? Yeah, it's like, do you remember birth? Well, what is that worth? Come on.
Okay. I thought that was a rhetorical question. Good. I'm like, I had to think. It's an odd segue. Let's not go there.
But she's so wonderful. She's so wonderful. She's called and given some tips and said, hey, have you thought about doing this? Have some ideas, and there've been some really good stuff.
Well, when I was thinking about this and about our time together, we worked together throughout our time at Indiana State University. People like John Newton were really good about getting us booked and getting the word out about us. I was laughing to myself about some of the memories that I have. And I don't know if there are certain shows that immediately come to mind, but one of my all-time favorite performing moments involved you and a panic attack you had right before we went on. Do you remember when we competed in the NAACP Rap and Talent Show at Indiana State University?
Oh boy, yes.
Oh, this was one of the highlights of my life. The NAACP on campus is putting on a talent show, and I said, Jeff, we got a show. Okay, I think it was a Friday night. We show up, and we're backstage, and all of a sudden, you peek out in the audience, and you freak out. You said, Craig, we are the only white people here. The
Yes.
audience is African-American. The judges are African-American. What are we doing here?
Yeah, and my other thought was, you're about to go sing like Cruising the Wabash, and I'm like, they've been out there doing R&B, and they're loving this moment they're in. I'm like, you are gonna crack open this atmosphere.
You just kept saying, can we just please go? Can we just please go? We don't need this, Craig. And do you remember what happened when we went out there?
Well, it was a mixed bag.
But
there was like applause, and then there were some like,
and we did, it had to be you, and we did Cruising the Wabash. Do you remember we won the talent show?
Yes, which is the craziest thing ever.
It was awesome.
Halfway through it had to be you. They were in hysterics.
Yeah.
They were kind and wonderful and warm, and I don't know why I was so uptight thinking that we weren't going to fit in, and that wasn't what happened. That's not what that was about.
It was one of the clearest moments in my career that said there are things that can bring us together: music,
yes,
and laughter. And it was one of the highlights of my career that night, and it was so funny, so funny. And you were eventually recovered, and it was all good.
Yep.
And how about you? Do you have a favorite memory from life on the road, the two of us?
Two. It was the gig that we did in Wichita, where we drove. It felt like 6 days to get there and 6 days back.
We did 18 hours in a Geo. We were in your Geo.
In my Geo Metro.
Wichita, yes, your Geo Metro. And go ahead.
And I'd driven up from Nashville. So I was in Nashville then, wasn't I? Mm-hmm. Because we met in Terre Haute. We spent the night, got up very early. And it gave us an enormous amount of time to just chat and talk. And we listened to the entire, I don't know how many times we listened to the entire score of Les Miserables on the way there and back.
And you walked me through the whole musical. I had not seen it. In every song you'd stop, you'd explain what happened next, and then we'd proceed.
Yes. I would get out of the car, act it out. It was, that's what took us 18 hours.
The cows loved it.
Yes. All four of them, yes. And then we get to the gig. And this is something that I used to do incessantly. And for some reason, I don't know why I would always do this, but seconds before going on, I would bring up, I'd be like, Craig, did you see that episode of such and such show this last week? And he'd be like, what are you doing? I'm in a zone here.
You are the only person I know that takes 70 minutes to recount a 60-minute television show. It takes longer to hear you recap it than it does to watch the whole thing. And I would say, Jeff, I did not see that last night because I do not like that show.
Right. Oh, here, let me tell you about it. And you're like, they're introducing us. You need to stop speaking now.
Yes.
And you would be like in the zone. And it just was, I wasn't even
And that's the night that the guy sat in the front row and gave us the finger the entire show.
That's right.
There was a guy that sat in the very front row and flipped us off from start to finish. And afterwards, you came up and you said, Can I ask you something? I said, yeah. Did you notice the guy in the front row? I said, no, I missed him. He said, did you know him? You asked me, did you know him?
Did you know him?
We're in Wichita, Kansas. We don't know anybody. And you just said, he was just saying you're number one.
Exactly. I think my all-time favorite moment was north of Terre Haute, somewhere around Terre Haute, during school years, during college years. And you did the Richard Simmons routine where you would get someone exercising on stage.
Sure.
And of all the people you picked was this guy, I think was his name Ken.
Keith.
I can't remember.
I think it was Keith.
His name was Keith, and he washed cars at a dealership. I think we were in Clinton, maybe.
This is all accurate. And you told me before the show, whatever you do not pick that man.
Don't pick him, because he reminds me of my Uncle Carl. And I knew that my Uncle Carl was not the kindest person in the world. And I knew that that may not go well. And so it was so funny. And this guy got so tickled, and everybody laughed, everybody had a good time. And I had to follow that with
A Holy Night.
A Holy Night.
Yes.
And so I start playing it, and and I start laughing, and I was like, and I stop and I start playing again, and I'm like,
you started 6 times.
And then I started singing. I didn't get through Holy Night. And it took, you're right, it was like 6 times to get started, but that went down as one of those, I was like, I know I can do this, and I just couldn't. I was lost.
Well, and that's what was so much fun working with you live on stages. We would laugh through the show. We would get so tickled at something that it was just it was absolutely delightful. Another memory that I have is of the YMCA in Washington, D.C. We were booked to do a show at the Botanical Gardens, and I won't say who the client was, but they said, yeah, we'll take care of your room, and they booked us at the YMCA. And so we found out that the rooms were $7 a night. And we got there on a Thursday evening, and you and I were both just had Indiana written all over us. So we walked into this place. Yes, we're here. We have a room. And they said, well, you're here on a good night. And we looked at each other, and I said, and what constitutes a good night? And he said, it's Thursday. I said, mm-hmm. And he said, we changed the sheets on Thursdays and Sundays. And we got to our room and had bullet holes through it, and I think we stayed one night. And then,
we did, and then we all chipped in and got a hotel room for 2 nights.
Life on the road. And then the highlight of my comedy career, I think, was opening for Jay Leno at Purdue. And you were down in Nashville. You had moved after you graduated from Indiana State. You moved to Nashville to pursue greater things. And I get a call from Jay Leno's agent on Tuesday saying, can you open for him on Friday night? And I said, what are you talking about? He said, he'll be at Purdue. He needs an opening act. His flight is going to be late. He can't get there by showtime. And I said, well, how long do you want me to do? And they said, 30 to 60 minutes. We'll let you know right before you walk on stage. Well, there is an eternity between 30 and 60 minutes in front of it. And it was the biggest crowd I'd ever performed in front of, 5,000 people. So I called you and said, I really need you to come back from Nashville, because with you, I knew I had options. Without you, it was just prayer, and God's very busy. So I'm not sure I can go on. I can count on just that. And it was wonderful. And the crowd could not have been friendlier. We shared a dressing room with him, with Jay Leno, and he could not have been nicer.
Oh, he was just outstanding.
It was, pardon?
He was just outstanding. Such a gentleman, and so nice.
Could have been better. And one of my favorite moments, though, was after we did our set. He's now on stage, and you and I are sneaking back into the auditorium just to watch him. We wanted to see what he was doing. And we're standing along the wall of Elliott Hall of Music, and you grabbed my arm and you said, did you hear that? And I said, what? He goes, listen. And I said, what? And off in the distance, a half a mile away in the balcony, was this woman laughing. And it was my mom. And you said, that's your mother. And to hear that laughter, you know, the first laugh I remember connected with the coolest moment on stage was just a very sweet moment.
Yeah. Oh.
So you are doing these 2 nights a week. People, yes. Tonight, we're taping this on a Tuesday. We're recording this on a Tuesday. Well, what's tonight's show featuring?
Tonight,
because you're kind of going with these themes.
We're starting to work with themes. So tonight are movie songs. So anything that was done in a film, and but that doesn't mean just anything. A lot of people will request things and I just don't know them. And unfortunately, I've been so busy, I haven't really had time to learn new material. But I have so many songs I have a collection of lyrics in my laptop. I have 1,000 lyrics.
Wow.
So it's easy to pick something like the movie themes, which was also suggested to us, or not movie themes, but songs from movies. And there's just so many that are fun, and it brings back some nostalgia. People remember the good times because that was back in the day you actually went to the theater to see films. And now we sit at home, and thank goodness we do.
Well, and those movies take them to an event, and I watched that with, and don't you remember? And what times, is it a consistent time on Tuesday night and Thursday night that you're doing? I know those are the nights.
Yes. But this week we changed the time. So it's always Tuesday and always Thursday. We're starting now at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Mountain, and on the West Coast at 5.
And if they're in Guam?
I'm sorry?
If they're in Guam, what time should they?
Lunchtime.
Good, excellent.
The day before.
Yeah. They've already watched it.
Excuse me.
Great.
And also Thursday nights are sing-along nights, and that's with the screen that sits next to me with all the lyrics. They're bigger, so everyone can literally sing along. I've been trying to stick to an hour, but sometimes people just keep asking stuff, and the ball keeps rolling. My dear Patrick stands over here in the corner, and he's a great producer. He worked in radio for a while, so really? I don't know if you knew that. Yeah, and so he's always got the notes. He holds up like so many minutes, and he's like, remember the tip jar, or he'll write down the name of the song that I said, I'm about to play, blah, blah, blah. And then I don't play it, and he'll hold up the title of the song. It's like, oh yeah.
Look, you big fat liar, play the song.
Exactly. And I did that. And it was my own song. It was Hey, Hey, Louie. I was supposed to sing for Sammy that had just moved to Florida about 3 weeks before. And through the whole thing, Sammy's like, I want to hear my song. I was like, I know. And then I got to the end of it. I go, I didn't play your song. So yes, helpful.
So Sammy doesn't watch anymore?
I think, yeah, she's on now, but she's with her grandkids, so she's staying plenty busy. But so Tuesday is a piano night, and we'll probably go back to just like a request night in the next week. I don't know that for sure, but we'll announce it. We always announce on Thursday what the following Tuesday is going to be, but Thursday's always sing-along night. Okay. I do encourage people, if they want, they can reach out to me and send a message through Facebook or through my website. You can go to jeffreybowenmusic.com and find my email address. And if there's something you want to sing along, I'll get the words made in a PDF that everyone can sing along to and make it happen.
Well, you and I have been more than just traveling partners and working together on stage. I mean, I regard you as one of my closest friends. You were a groomsman in our wedding. And I want to make one observation, and that is that, and I attribute it, I'm guessing mostly to Patrick, but you have never seemed happier and healthier in the 30 plus years that I've met you. I mean, you seem to be in a better place than I've ever known you to be before. And do you attribute it to him? I mean, he seems like he's an incredibly positive influence on you.
Yes, he is. He is one of the kindest and most supportive people. He's very, we're both type A people, but he's very low key at the same time. He doesn't let things just eat him up or bother him, and very go with the flow. And I met him at just the right time. I very openly admitted that I put myself in therapy, and I needed some help. I had some really bad years. As you know, we lost Dad. I had a lot of loss in about a 4-year period and wasn't handling it very well. And I started therapy and met him a month later. And so that it was just funny how those two roads just converged, and because I was getting better and he was already kind of set to go. And it wasn't supposed to start as a relationship. We were just friends and hanging out together, and it just went the right direction. And I've never felt more down to earth and secure, and just kind of free
It
to fly.
shows. It shows.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I appreciate, thank you for that observation. That means a lot.
Well, and Heidi has noticed it too. She's like, yeah, he's just in a really good spot right now. And that's, we're happy for you. You mentioned John. We'll finish with this. John Lintner, we lost a couple years ago. He was the your mother's studly husband, and a guy that just made me howl. He had a phenomenal sense of humor, and he and I took a road trip to Detroit one time. It was just the two of us, and laughed the entire way. I mean, over and back, and just a genuine, real guy. And you and I were doing a show in Terre Haute, and I requested a song, and I said, Jeff, do you know the Music Box Dancer? And you got this faraway look in your eye, and you said, yeah, I know it. And tell them the story about that song and how it was at the very beginning of your career that you learned that. Am I remembering this right?
Yes. I was junior high, early junior high, maybe at the high school. So I would have made me, 15, 16 years old. And he absolutely loved that song. He bought very few 45s. That one he bought. We actually had that one. And I just started playing it. And
by ear? I
remember,
mean, you heard it and started working it out? Or did you have the sheet music to it?
I play by ear. I do read music, but I do predominantly play by ear, and I just played it. And my parents had got me a piano when I was in junior high school, and I just started playing it. And I remember he took me to, I was junior high, and he took me to his boss's house. The company was in the basement, and the boss and his wife had a piano. He brought me over, and I remember playing that for them. And I thought he was just going to explode. He was just he wasn't a stage father as in push, push, push. But as you remember, excuse me, when we did those fundraisers at
Stand Up for Capstone. Yep.
Yeah, for Capstone at the Mendel Center, that was his favorite thing he did, because he got to watch that start to finish, literally in one day go, these people have never met, and now they're formulating, and then we go have lunch, and then we come back, brush two things up, and do a 3-hour show. And it just...
Yeah, we put the whole show together on one Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just floored him how that came together. And he loved the production side, and he loved the entertainment side. So Music Box Dancer, though, always had a special place in my heart because it was one of his favorites.
Would you mind playing a little bit of it here as we wrap this up?
Do a little bit. The piano's on. I don't know how it's going to sound. I'll turn it up a little bit. But
we'll play it on the banjo then. Very nice. Very nice. Still as sweet as ever. And so are you, darn it. All right. So tonight, give them instructions. 8 o'clock, they go to Jeffrey Bowen on Facebook.
Go to the Facebook. Go to the Facebook.
Go to the Facebook, yes. On the internet, yes.
Yes, on the interwebs. If you go to Facebook and look for Jeffrey Bowen, the musician page, it's the one wearing the black shirt, not the one in the red shirt. And so I'm trying to kind of center everything there. It's just easier to maneuver there.
Okay.
And starts at 8 o'clock. It goes live. You are free to make comments and requests. You can like the page. So can I do the shameless self-promotion?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I also have a YouTube channel if anybody wants to go and see any of the videos that I've been doing, and a lot of original show choir music there. That's also Jeffrey Bowen Music, all one word, smush it together. And I just haven't been putting the videos up that I thought I would, because I actually got a little busy with some show choir here lately. So I arrange music for show choirs. I don't know if anybody
Yeah, I wanted them to know that too, that you play, you perform, you're a songwriter, you're an arranger for show choirs, you judge show choir competitions. And yeah, I mean, you wear many hats. So
yes.
I am very proud of everything that you have accomplished, and even more proud to call you my friend.
Oh, absolutely. You're one of the dearest people, you and Heidi and the girls. I love you guys to death. And I can't thank you enough for the honor and the opportunity of having this discussion with you. And it's everything I've ever done with you, Craig, in 30 something years. It's been just spectacular. So thanks.
Thanks. Good luck. I'll be tuning in tonight at 8 o'clock and each Tuesday and Thursday thereafter. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Jeff Bowen, everybody, check him out tonight. You will thoroughly enjoy his playing and singing and everything that Patrick brings to the production. So thanks, Jeff. And we'll see you next time on Zoom In.
All righty.
And now I have to find the stop recording button. This is where we, and it is